memento, a keepsake, a reminder, a remembrance, a token, a relic. Some part of everything that we have experienced in our lifetime has been set aside in our brain as a memory. Of course, when you're very young, very few of these things remain. And it seems as though things of the greatest importance have a special place in our memory. But it's not like a filing system where everything is categorized and set aside in a proper place. Some things are based on sounds, some things are based on sights, some things are based on familiarity with personalities and experiences, smells. I have a particular tactile memory cue. You might have the scent of some food cooking, and it ties into something your mother cooked, or a picnic you were on, or an exotic location where you ate some food. Or there might be some tactile thing, or a voice or a sound that cues your brain into stimulating and bringing forth the memory. I have a particular sensory and auditory cue for a particular memory. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I was camping with my parents, summer vacation. My dad was an avid fisherman, and he took me to the lake to go fishing. And he was fishing, and I don't even recall if I had a fishing pole or not. But one thing led to another for a 5-year-old, and I ended up in the water. And you know, I was struggling to get to the shore because it was a kind of a deep drop off at that point. It was near a dam and rocky shore. My father didn't jump in. I recall he stretched his arm out, and I swam and reached for it, and he pulled me in. And that summer, before we went on our family vacation, I had been given a gift of some cowboy boots. And I happened to be wearing those when I fell into the water. And after I was pulled out, my father packed up his gear and we walked back to the cabin. And all the way in my cowboy boots, I remember I was going squish, squish, squish. So now every time, perhaps we're out camping and I happen to step in the stream on a hike, and or I get caught in the rain, and if I hear that sound or feel that feeling of water in my shoe, I'm immediately transported back to being a 5-year-old, walking back to the cabin with my father. For some time now, my paintings have consisted of overlaps and intermingling of images and text, diagrams, phrases from poems, or perhaps text out of a scientific book. And for me, it seems very similar to the process one goes through in retrieving memories or information. You might be in a situation, you say, oh, I remember I read something on that once before. And your brain tries to recall, well, where was that? Who was I with? What were they saying? What is that bit of information? What's the key word? The key word is so-and-so, and it ties you into the whole phrase. And this is sort of how I construct my paintings. I may lay down a phrase and a couple of images that state a particular point of view or a particular idea, and then with this gestural painting, I obliterate part of it, I obscure part of it, so that it's no longer clear in what is being stated and what specifically is being said. There's only a general idea of what the topic was from what remains. And then on top of that, then I paint in some other bit of information. And in doing this, I feel like I'm recreating the experience of thought and the retrieval of memory. I think the fracturing of the images adds a certain ambiguity that asks you to search your own files, your own memory, to establish a frame of reference which helps you to make sense of the painting. Some years ago, my mother was afflicted by Alzheimer's and passed away as a result. And one of the effects this had on me was to cause me to think more and more about how we think about things and the memories we use to connect to life. With the Alzheimer's patient, it's very difficult for them to set down new memories. And old memories are the ones that provide the greatest frame of reference. And I recall once when I was visiting, my father and I went to the hospital where my mother was. And he went every day and sat with her. And there was a television in the room, and on this particular visit, we were watching a football game, a playoff game of some sort. And at that point, my mother was not very conversant. It was difficult, if not impossible, at that point to have a conversation with her. Although she did still speak, connections were not made sufficiently to have a conversation. And we were watching this football game, and all of a sudden it caught her attention, and she sat up, and we could see from her reaction how she was applying a particular frame of reference to what she saw. She no longer was connecting to this image as a television set, and certainly not looking at it as a football game. She was the oldest of 6 children, 3 girls and then 3 boys. So she was probably in her teens and thereabouts when the 3 boys were very young. And much of the care for the boys fell upon the girls, and of course my mother being the oldest, quite a bit fell upon her. So she looked at the football game and all of the conflict that was going on in the screen caught her attention, and she sat up, and it was as if she was looking out the window when she was a teenager watching her brothers play. She so clearly stated, "What are those boys doing out there?" And my father and I sort of laughed that this was her connection, but sweet as it was, she was concerned about her brothers, and we just had to console her a little bit. Oh, everything's all right, and that's just a football game, and we calmed her down. But she was very concerned about that. But we could see that she no longer related as a television or a game or we're watching something. She was looking out the window at her 3 younger siblings getting into trouble. Memento, a keepsake, a reminder, a remembrance, a token, a relic.